Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to the next anime review. And next is going to be an anime series that I've heard for quite some time, but especially for the one of the main characters as well that I know of, but just haven't gotten fully around to watch it all the way through though. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces online, but not the full series of it though. And which of the bits and pieces I did watch, I did enjoy. And for this anime review, be a reviewing of what I have right here, Black Lagoon. Contains the first and second seasons. Second season of the second barrage. I really enjoy Black Lagoon, and especially the one of the main characters here, Revi. She's definitely a badass, and definitely one of my favorite female anime characters. Female characters, you know. Yes, I know, well, she's definitely on the same level like Kagome or Sango is in Inuyasha, though, but due to their different circumstances, though, but still. I would definitely put her as one of my favorite female anime characters. Because she is definitely a badass, and but I'll get to her character in a second here, but Black Lagoon, for the anime series, released in both seasons, released in 2006, and there was also a short, there was also a shorter third season called, which consists of 5 episodes, called Blood Trail, but I have to get that though. Roberta's Blood Trail, that's what it's called. But I'll have to get that eventually though. But for the first 2 seasons though, I really did enjoy. Black Lagoon, it follows up a guy by the name of Rokuto, or Rokuto, but he goes by the name of, but shortened, he calls himself, he's now goes by the name of Rock. So Rock, I'll call him. So he's a business guy, young business guy, who's on a business trip, and all of a sudden his boat gets taken over by pirates. You know, modern day criminals, you know, pirates, right? And by the company known as the Lagoon Company. You consists of the main ones. Will eventually Rock joins the group, but so you get their main 4 ones. Get him, Revi. Then you get the leader of the Lagoon Company, Dutch, and then also got Benny, who's more of the info tech guy, you know, so to speak. So those are your 4 main characters, the Lagoon Company, and he gets taken. Well, Revi takes him as a hostage because Rock's company, where he worked for, had this disc that contained computer files and certain things for his company, which leads to the Russian mafia known as Hotel Moscow, led by this once a soldier in the Russian military, known as she goes by the name of Balalaika, which she's a very sadistic Russian mob leader, very sadistic, especially when it comes towards the end of the series. Why I see more of her sadisticness. But and by the end of this whole deal part, when his company gets the disc, and basically, you know, Rock can choose to go to live his normal life though, but since the company cared more about the disc more than him, so basically, you know, you can say like his life is over. So he doesn't know what to do. So basically, he goes and joins the Lagoon Company. Now gets himself into this organized crime company now. And from then on, you know, the whole series becomes like from a few short story arcs about Rock and the Lagoon Company, you know, doing some business, you know, for different types of crime, dealing with different types of mafia and crime stuff as well. So that's just the gist of it. So like a few episodes focus on one story arc and then on another, and so how their line of work done and how their work functions. So with all different kinds of mafia crime bosses, you have different kinds, you know, like at the Hotel Moscow, the Russian mafia. Then you had these other later Yakuza, then other well, I think it was a Chinese. There's a little bit of Italian mob and a little bit of a mafia crimes organizations here and there. So, and then you get for the characters themselves. Okay, we about Rock. He doesn't use a gun though. He's just there for like a little bit like using his business smarts. To tell what's going on in a war, some tactics, whatever. And with Revy, which I really like I said, I really loved Revy. She's an absolute badass, especially for one scene during this. There's a boat chase scene where she single-handedly takes out a whole entire fleet of boats. Right, from one point she's just shooting at people, and it's definitely one of the best animes dealing with action. So for action anime, it's definitely one of the best. It doesn't hold up with the action and the killing blood spree and even the foul language, especially mostly coming from Revy. So it's definitely an R-rated anime series. It holds no bounds on those elements. So, but the action, like I would refer to where Revy single-handedly takes a whole boat fleet, shooting up guys with machine guns, with a grenade launcher, takes out boats, even shoots a grenade launcher at a couple of people as well. So, and she definitely is badass. And for the English dub voice, well, especially for the main English voice cast, does a really good job. Especially the one who voices Revy, Marike Hendridice. Sorry if I mispronounced the name, but she did a really great job as voicing the English voice of Revy. And the one who voices Dutch, Dean Redman, he does a good job as voices Dutch. And so Brian Drummond as Benny. And there was also a couple of recognizable voices, that I heard from other animes as well, though. But the Lagoon Company, did a really good job. And like I said, and Brad Swale as Rock, he was good too. But one other characters, like the leader of the group, Dutch, I thought his character, when it comes to handling situations or talking to other people, he does it. He always talks in such a very calm manner. Even when things when shit hits the fan, he always talks in a very calm manner. Almost like you see like raise his voice or scream or shout or whatever. I mean, there was a moment where he did get pissed. He got pissed at Revy though, but he didn't really fully raise his voice though. But knowing about Revy long enough though, so. But he always talks in such a very calm manner, and on a level-headed way. So, and he was a likable character for me, and I liked him. Benny, I don't know much about him, but he always was fine on the info or on the tech stuff like that, and he said for what he said that he was a guy who was from Florida, I think it was, because he was wearing such a Hawaiian type shirt. So, but I did not mind the character Benny, but the Dutch I liked as much. But Revy, she's easily my favorite of the group. So, and she was, like I said, she's very badass and she's very short-tempered. She takes crap from nobody at all. She loses her temper very easily, and she's a foul-mouthed smoking chick. She's a Chinese American. What they said she was. She was Chinese, but she grew up in New York. Or was it Brooklyn or Manhattan? I don't know, but she said she was born. She was a Chinese born American born in New York. So. And we don't know much about her backstory, although says she was brought up like she grew up like this. There was a couple of minor flashbacks when she was younger. She was shooting people back when she was a kid. So you don't get much about her backstory though. But from that she just ended up growing up into this world. This criminal world. And there was even a moment, when they're him and her and Rock are inside this submarine. They were having a little chit chat. So, they're saying that she did believe in God once, but you always like the little bits of banter between Rock and Reverie. How their relationship is. Even though it's nothing romantic relationship, but although I did get a couple of there was a few moments where I think that Reverie did had a couple of she would never say it though, but in the back of my mind she did have kind of like a sort of like a little bit of feelings towards Rock though, but given her personality and how she is, that would never happen though. But I did kind of see a couple moments like that though. And for the following other story arcs, with other organizations, like there's one story arc where there's the group of neo-Nazis, they're modern day neo-Nazis that are going after. They want this painting that's of great value. It's down in this this broken down submarine that's down at the bottom of the sea. So Revi and Rock try to retrieve it, and lots of action. When they get on board their ship and just they're shooting a bunch of these neo-Nazis down. And there's even a point where the leader of where Dutch is talking to the leader guy, this old guy over the phone, and the old guy is being really racially towards Dutch, and Dutch is like, well, because Dutch is black, yes, but Dutch takes it such as like, oh, I consider that a compliment. So yeah, so I thought that was even kind of funny as well. So some of the dialogue I thought was pretty funny too. How the way things take, especially when he takes things, he takes it very in a comment like, oh, that's a compliment, thanks for that. So when the old man is talking to him on the phone, so you get a group of like dealing with a group of neo-Nazis dealing with this painting because it was a great value. You can get flashbacks back in the day about this painting, and another story arc dealing with where there's this terror group where Rock gets taken hostage. Or another group where there's another story where there's this maid by the name of Roberta, which later, after the second season, there's a 5-episode series called Roberta's Blood Trail. Roberta, she's this maid who works for this rich family, looking after this kid named Garcia. Garcia is this kid who likes Roberta, always having her around. But until the kid finds out that Roberta has been this soldier before she worked at that family though. And she's kind of like indestructible, basically. There's a point. There was a nod to Terminator, right? Where there's like, there's an indestructible robot from the future, and Rock's like, "Too bad we don't have Schwarzenegger here with us." So you get a nice nod to Terminator, because this woman, who's basically, she's a badass too. She has a gun in a briefcase, or there was another gun that she had that she starts blowing people away with, and like. She survives car crashes, and just being beaten, even though it's beaten to death. When she gets into a fist fight with Revi. Anyway, she is kind of like the Terminator. But and she's at least how she's very strong too as well. Like just for instance, where the boy said, "Oh, I used to beat her at arm wrestling," but when things were happening, her arms get stiff and like shows how strong the girl is. So you get like her the story dealing with her, and you get this darker I'll say this darker story where you look at these two twin kids from Manias, because I think as they connect the idea of the word vampires, to Transylvania, right? I think that's where Romania is from. That's where in Romania. So, but these two twin kids, a brother and sister. Which is a messed up how they were brought into this criminal world, because they were orphans. They were brought into this pedophilia, where child abuse, pornography, right? And how would they would endure if they just mess up their minds, and end up becoming killers. Like the brother, he has an axe, and the girl. The sister has like this big gun. It's like basically this gun is like bigger than her. She wields it so easily. But But how they were brought into was messed up, though. And she shows a little bit of sadisticness, like from Balalaika, you know, the Russian mob leader of Hotel Moscow. Like, these twins are smart, though, but they're just children, though, right? And they don't care. They don't give a even Revy or the other organized crime people, they don't give a damn if they're kids or not. So it shows how very little sympathy they have towards, you know, towards anybody, you know. They'll have, like, any group organization in this place, in this whole criminal world, they don't give a damn about anybody. No sympathy, like, so they don't even care. No sympathy even if they are children, and they kill the children, you know. The brother, which you get this thing that they both swap personalities, so they can imitate each other, like the sister has long hair, but they can take off the wig, and they have the same short haircut like the brother, and they, you know, gives the wig to the other. So and they imitate each other's voices. So these two can become either one, right? But you can technically say the brother with the brother first, confronting with Balalaika. She has a sniper. She has a sniper from away, shoots off the kid's hand, and shoots him again, and just lets the kid bleeds out, you know, bleeds to death. And with the sister, you know, she's a little chat with Rock, you know, how they were brought up, and, you know, Rock, you know, he's not cold-hearted like the rest of them, right? He does have some sort of sympathy, though, but since he's in this world now, it's hard for him to, you know, say, oh, just because they're children, you know, they should go free because they're children, right? Like, no, he isn't really. But he missed that it was messed up how they are brought into. They are made into monsters, like he said. You know, he felt kind of pity on them because they were forced into this world, you know. But that story, what dealing with those twins and how that would happen to them, that was kind of a dark thing. And then at the end. At the end of the finale, which is in season 2, the finale of this, which focused on this there's this high school girl by the name of Yukito, or the Yukio, yeah, or Yukio, where she was also brought it because she was the daughter of a former mob. Her dad was a mob boss, right? Like in the Yakuza type of way, right? And she's the last heir of the mafia name. So she was the guy named Jinji. Was it Jininji? She's like the guy who always looked after Yukio. So she was brought into this since her name. She's the last of this type of name of the mafia. So she was also forced to be brought into this as well. You know, so. And which earlier, you know, that Rock was talking, because he and Revy were in Japan. They came to Japan, do some business. Like Rock was there to translate for Balalaika, to, you know, translate Japanese for Balalaika, right? And a point where Revy, you know, there's a little point where he shows some kids, you know, about shooting guns because he sees the kids playing with toy guns. There's a point where which I would like to have learned more about. Where there's a point where Rock finally wants to goes to his parents' house. Well, he said they weren't there though. But I would like to see more. I would like to see a part where he meets with his folks again and talks about you know, where have you been all this time, or how you been, and something like that, right? I wish I would have seen where he actually had a moment where he talked with his folks. I would like to have seen that though. But there was more where he was talking with Yukio, and they were chatting, and it's like how Yukio was saying how life is like, people are like dice, right? Wherever direction they roll is where they're headed to, right? And Rock, he's the one he felt more sympathy for because she's a young high school girl who was just brought into this as well, so he did kind of feel sympathy for her. And then until ultimately up into the end, she starts acting like them, you know, towards the end, because it's at the point where all of her like especially Balalaika, she's very sadistic. She really wanted her out of the way and killing all the other members of the mafia in Japan as well. So, and she has no sympathy towards her as well because she has her on her hit list. So she has no sympathy at all. So that's what shows how sadistically sick she is. And Yukio and her you say caretaker, who looks after her. They said they probably wanted to go to the place where the Lagoon Company's been staying at with all these other criminal. It's a criminal city where, I already mentioned, there's this criminal city that the Lagoon Company's been residing in, with all these other criminals. Called was a Rope Bureau or something like that. It's a place in Thailand, whereas a city where all these criminals stay. Right. There's probably one attempt to go there, but until the end, where Revi fights Jinji. Was it Jinji or Jininji or something like that name? Because he wanted to fight her because she was impressed how he sliced the bullet in half with his sword, right? So he fights her, but ultimately she kills him, and Rock, witnesses since at the end, because she gets stabbed in the leg. She gets stabbed in the leg, but then Rock sees that Yukio takes his sword, and she kills herself, stabs her right through here, And he like I said, he's the one who had more sympathy to her because she did not need to choose this life, but in the end it couldn't be helped. And I also kind of felt, ultimately, part of me also felt bad for her friend, Yukio's friend, because there was a couple of scenes where Yukio was talking with a classmate of hers, and up to the point where all these cars, when they were leaving the school, all the cars, including Jinji, they pull up, and she doesn't know, Maki was her name, she doesn't know what's going on, and she just sees her leaving, she's crying in tears seeing her friend leave like that, so I kind of felt sorry for her, knowing what's going to happen. Well, she doesn't know what's going on, so... But up to the end, they all just ended going back towards their criminal place, and that was it, But yeah, Black Lagoon, it doesn't, like I said, I really enjoyed it though. It's definitely, it's a whole new bars with action, especially the foul language as well, and the action blood, whatever. It's definitely an R-rated anime series that is just really fun and enjoyable. Well, it's a realistic, it's an anime series, it's not realistic at all though, so they can make it not realistic at all, but the characters I enjoy, especially with Rock, I did not mind, because especially with the chemistry or banter between him and Revi, I was liking, because there's a point where after I forget what part though, but after what story arc was, but there was a point where they were talking in the back seat, right, and he lights up a cigarette, and Revi, she's gonna have a cigarette too though, but she's her lighter has no more fluid, right, so, and Rock lets him light up her cigarette with his cigarette. They were like this, lighting each other's cigarette. You could probably say that's the closest to a kiss they can get, though. But these are the moments like that, like the chemistry they have with each other. It's in their own, especially in Revi's own sick way. But I like that. I like their chemistry with each other. But Revi, she's my favorite character of the series. She's definitely badass. Such a badass as well, and definitely my favorite female anime characters. What I forgot to mention, a recognizable voice that I forgot to mention. There's one story arc I forgot to mention. There's this girl. I think she said she was Indian, or I think it was, but there's this girl who goes by the name of Greenback or Greenway Jane. She's a girl who does in money counterfeiting, and she has the Lagoon Company to protect her, right? And when I was hearing the English voice of her, that sounded very familiar, because until I was like, oh wait a minute, I was like, yep, that's definitely her. The voice the money counterfeiter was it Greenback Jane or Greenway Jane? I want to get the name correctly. The characters. Greenback Jane, yeah, the money counterfeiter, yeah. She's voiced by Kelly Sheridan. Kelly Sheridan, Sango from Inuyasha. Yeah, Sango. And I was like, oh wow, that's right. That's Kelly Sheridan, Sango herself. She's a voice of this character. Hey, that was cool because I love Sango. You know, Sango is another badass female character, you know, as well from Inuyasha. But yeah, that was cool to hear Kelly Sheridan have a voice role in this. Cool to hear Sango again in a different anime. So like I found them there. So there was a story arc dealing with her trying to protect her, you know, because she has this information to make more of these counterfeit money. So that was cool to hear. So yeah, Kieran Sango herself again. Yeah, I forgot to mention that story arc. So yeah, it's definitely a like there is a little bit of depth of certain backstories of the characters. Well, very little though, but it's more to it that you get an understanding though. To me it does. But I really enjoyed Black Lagoon. It's definitely, like I said, for the animation from 2006, it was well made, especially when the action happens, when all the action, like explosions, gunfire, whatever, or whatever he's doing, whatever. The animation, it makes it really well made. Definitely, the action is definitely well made for when it's animated. For the animation, when the action happens, yes, I'm trying to get to that. That's why I'm putting it. It's definitely well made, and especially it's definitely R-rated. Gunshot, blood everywhere, foul language, you know, drinking, smoking, whatever. It definitely has all that stuff. So, and into this world of this organized crime world, you know, when Rock, you know, how him adjusting to this life, you know, because by the time like the end of the second season, you say he's been into this group for like only over like a year now. So, yeah. About Revy, I love Rock. I think he's still good. At least I like what the chemistry they had with between him and Revy. I liked Dutch. I enjoyed. Benny, he's still alright. Other side characters, well, Bella Laika. Well, she's a woman that you. One thing about her, she's very badly scarred. I guess from a fire explosion, she's badly scarred on her face and also down here as well. But she's definitely a sadistic Russian mob leader, which you do want to hate. You want her to die, though, to me. Especially, you know, we're trying to kill Yukio, the teenage girl at the end, you know. Wanted her to, you know. That's because even when Rock was trying to say something, you know, about this, but she's like, oh, well. But even when Revy's trying to stop him from saying this stuff because he's going to end up getting killed because of his mouth. But, and the other characters, like the messed up thing with Hansel and Gretel, those are the two twins, the sadistic twin kids. Let's say Greenback Jane, nice, Kelly, voiced by Kelly Sheridan. It's nice to see her again, hear her again. Sango again. Sad thing about with Yukio, you know, the teenage girl being dragged into this, you know, ultimately committing suicide, you know, sadly. But and also dealing with the neo-Nazis and other things too. So I really did enjoy Black Lagoon. It was a very fun action R-rated anime series. And if you haven't, and for the comment, the good positive thing it says right here, you know, this one from AnimeNewsNetwork.com: violence, swearing, bravado, and gunplay. Yep, you definitely got that right there. And on the back here, from also from the same network, a big hit, sexy heroine, loads of coarse language and graphic violence, great visuals, and a kickin' musical score. That's another thing I forgot to mention. The score by this, I thought was. Yeah, I forgot to mention the score of this. I thought I did like the score in this anime series. So the score I'd give a thumbs up to. So yeah, definitely got the positive especially from Anime News Network. People like this movie anime. So, and like I said, Revy, or what you call Rebecca is her name, but Revy, called for short though. She's definitely badass. Definitely one of the most badass anime characters I've seen. Well, I also put her as one of my favorite female anime characters too, as well. So I put her up there with Sango, Kagome. Of course, not on the same level though. But just to me, as for female characters itself in anime, I would put those on my list. They're all in my personal list, and also in my opinion. But yeah, Black Lagoon, I really did enjoy. So if you haven't seen Black Lagoon, give it a watch. If watch it as a fun action anime, you'll definitely get that. Foul language and everything, R-rated, you'll definitely get that as well. And like I said, she's a badass. Definitely badass, especially with given her personality. Yeah, you do not want to mess with her. Definitely, you don't want. You'll get your ass shot off if you do. Yeah, but that's my thoughts on Black Lagoon. I definitely give it a thumbs up. I do. Really enjoyable series. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next anime review. Later.